This video will be about taking your surface decorations off your cube. So I hope that you invested a great amount of time on your decorations. You know, all 6 sides of your cube are now decorated, and I'm hoping you're all very excited to fire them. But as previously mentioned, you do not have to. It's not a requirement. So if you decide that you don't really long to see the fired surface techniques that you did on your cube and you want to reclaim the clay instead, that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to walk you through the steps of how to take off the slip and how to just clean that, you know, all the slip, the blue and the white slip that you have that you applied to your cube, to get it back to be able to reclaim. And keep in mind, just another reminder, if you don't do this step, you're going to have colorants in the clay, and you really do not want blue or white clay. So the tools that you need to do this are just a bucket, a container of water nearby, your sponge, and your metal rib that comes in your toolkit. And I would just start with a damp sponge. This sponge is pretty dry, but I'm just going to dip it in the water bucket and wring it out a little bit, and then just start cleaning it off. You know, you can see that was a clean side, but for the next part here, this surface side is the side I did the Mishima, and it's takes a little bit more elbow grease to scrub away and get that inlaid color out, but it's really coming along. You can see it's almost gone, just a little bit of time. Just keep wringing out your sponge, adding more water, getting a fairly clean sponge. It's mostly coming off with just my sponge. If you're having difficulty with that, you can also take your rib and it'll scrape into that colored slip. And lift that so you can see pretty much have another clean side. And this is the side I did the tape resist and the slip, and I carved the text into there. I think I'll just start with my metal rib, and I'll show you too. I'm applying pretty much pressure, believe it or not. I'm kind of you can see with enough pressure, you're literally just scraping it away. So maybe start by scraping and then using your sponge again to just clean those edges. Shouldn't take you terribly long to do this, but it's a much necessary step. So again, you don't want the slip colored in your clay as you reclaim it to make future other projects out of. So that's coming along too. See, that side's now almost clean. I'm going to go to the side I did the paper resist, and again, just go back with my metal rib. Keeping in mind, again, I mentioned this in a previous video, but these metal ribs can have sharp edges. You know, they're not really sharp, but a certain angle of your finger sliding across can create a little paper-like cut. It's no fun, so just be careful of that. Kind of a really fun, I mean, this process isn't that fun, but it's fun to see what can appear. I mean, can't really tell in the video probably, but it just has this nice just by scraping reveals a whole other different pattern, which is nice. And I am making a mess. And I'm sure those of you who will not fire your cube, you will as well. So just keep that in mind, please, when you do this scraping. Try to not have everything fly all over on the ground, on the floor. I'm constantly using my damp sponge to put it back into the water here that I have. Try to contain your mess, especially from working at home. I would be saying the same exact thing if we were in the studio, but now it's more important than ever because you are, of course, all working from home. So just bear with me a little bit more here, and then I'll go to the side where I did the sgraffito. And so that's clean now. I'm going to go back to the sgraffito side. All right, so you can see it doesn't take too terribly long. It's getting much cleaner on all sides, almost to the point where it's completely off, and I can then break that cube apart and reclaim it. This also, if you decide not to fire your cube, is going to be a great exercise for you to then do the whole process of reclaiming clay. So that's pretty much it. As you can see, the cube is back to just the clay, and all the slip is wiped and scraped off and ready to reclaim. So again, clean up after yourself very well. And I would wipe a little bit more of my sponge, but for time purposes, that should be enough of an explanation for you to know how to do that on your own.